Let's go. Okay, she's turning on Jeff. Oh, shit. I did it again. I do this every single time. You think I would know better?
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the City of Franklin Planning Commission meeting, October 21st, 2025 at 6 p.m. May we have roll call, please?
Roll call. Oh. No, that's okay.
I apologize.
Here.
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 Here. Here. Here.
Here. We have a determination of quorum.
Did we get Irene Malley?
We do have a quorum.
Yes.
Okay, would you join me in a pledge of allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's okay.
Next, for consideration, approval for minutes for July 15, 2025. Do we have any amendments, deletions, corrections, or a motion for approval?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Is that Nally Carson? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Passes. Swearing in. Lynn, do you want to do that for any potential?
Yes, Mr. President. Anyone who is going to address the board tonight, we take sworn testimony. So if you are on behalf of the petitioner and/or remonstrators and/or interested persons, would you please stand, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony to give tonight be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I do. Thank you, gentlemen.
Reports of officers and committees. Technical review report, July 24th and September 25th. Joanna, will you please give it us, please?
Yes. Since our last meeting, we have had two technical review committee meetings, the first one being on July 24th. There was one item on the agenda, which was for site development plan for 695 Industrial Drive. That's located on the south side of Industrial Drive at the far east end of where it terminates. There currently is a property that has a industrial building, and they are proposing to expand the hard surface on the south side of the building, which would include some detention area. The other meeting was held on September 25th. There were 3 items on the agenda. The first one being the Indian American Water Company bulk fill station. This was proposed at the northeast corner of Nineveh Road in Dunn Street. Since that time, Indian American Water has decided to not proceed with that location and have actually submitted for the bulk fill station to be at their Sloan Drive Pump House location, which will be on Thursday's Technical Review Committee meeting. The second item was for Malarkey Roofing, which is located at 3540 Essex Drive. This was for a site development plan review. They were modifying their existing approved site plan to include additional storage area for their products on the north side of that lot. that has currently been resubmitted and is pending approval for construction. Then the third item on the agenda was for the PUD concept plan that will be heard this evening.
Thank you. Old business, don't see any. New business, PC 2527, PUD Concept Plan Innovation Park at Franklin College 2025. Joanna, will you give a staff report on that, please?
Sure. So to give a little bit of background, this project had been before Plan Commission last year in 2024 for a concept plan. According to our zoning ordinance, any approval of a concept plan is valid for 1 year in order for them to submit for a detailed plan. That detailed plan had not been submitted within that year time, therefore the original approval has expired. They have resubmitted for a planned unit development on the 250 acres located on the north side of Park Avenue, west of Umberger Lane, and immediately across from near the, not immediately across, but near the Armory. There is a number of steps for a planned unit development. The first one is the concept plan. That concept plan, the reason that we do bring it before Plan Commission is to start the conversation prior to too much work getting into the nuts and bolts, making sure that the development is within line of the comprehensive plan where the city sees the development going. The next stage, because this evening the board can take action, either approve or deny. The next step would be they would file for a detailed plan. That detailed plan gets into the nuts and bolts where it talks about lot size, setbacks, coverage, landscaping, parking requirements, signage, and whatnot. That comes before the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission then makes a recommendation, either favorable, unfavorable, or no recommendation, forwarded to City Council. City Council then has the ultimate authority of approving or denying the ordinance for the rezoning. So they will have 2 meetings. One will be an introduction, and the second will be a public meeting. So if anybody had any questions about process.
Questions from anyone?
And it's ready for the petitioner.
Would the petitioner come forth and identify themselves?
It is typically our process to have 15 minutes, and then the petitioner reserves 5 for rebuttal. Then the remonstrators, public, have 20 minutes combined. You obviously can extend that if you feel that there is additional information you need. Just the only requirement would be that it would be equivalent time for both the petitioners and the remonstrators. So we'll start with the allotted time, and then if we need to go further, we'll go further from that. And you're not saluting, it's the sun coming right in there, isn't it? Yeah, so.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Tim Oakes. I'm an attorney at Ice Miller with offices at 1 American Square, Suite 2900, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46282. Here this evening on behalf of the petitioner, Franklin College. As Joanna indicated, just a little over a year ago, about, 16 months ago, there was an approval for a concept plan that never moved forward. Franklin College went forward with that plan with the hope that, and which was communicated at the hearing, that shortly thereafter it would be a recipient of one of the $25 million grants that were being given out by the Eli Lilly Foundation. They did everything that they were told to do, talk to people that have been through the process before. We're encouraged, to be perfectly honest, and we're very disappointed when they did not receive the grant. When they did not receive the grant, it was, okay, what do we do now? And that is why there was not a subsequent detailed development, detailed PUD that was put forth for the Plan Commission's consideration. And that old approval, now that it's more than a year, is just gone, which is fine. Once the loss of the money from Lilly was kind of digested, the college said, okay, what do we do now? And that's what we've been doing in the interim. And we think the plan from before was a good one with some tweaks. We said, let's go back through the process from scratch. It's been long enough. We need to tweak it, and we now have a new development partner, Patch Development, who is going to assist in the development of this project. We have to just simply take a different approach, and this is going to be entirely private. We don't anticipate any dollars coming in from someone like Eli Lilly anymore. So this is a true PUD in the sense that it is a mixed-use project. It's 250 acres and contains everything from single-family homes to attached homes to multifamily to office and even some college-type uses. For those of you that were on the Plan Commission when this came through the first time, everything on the north side of the main east-west road, the one that starts at Umbarger and then extends through a couple roundabouts until it eventually tees into Park Avenue or Greensburg. Everything on that north side is the same, with the exception of the office innovation area on the far west side, which is in orange. That was originally just dedicated for Franklin College expansion. And we actually reduced a little bit the size of the mixed use, the purple area on the north side of the road over towards the east side of the project, and expanded the office innovation area just a little bit, not much. Critical to note, however, that the gold area, which is the detached residential, is exactly the same shape and size and location as it was before, as is the attached residential area to the north. This is a big project. This is really an extension of what is the city of Franklin proper. And the reason we thought this was a good plan on the first go-around, and we still think it is a good plan, is it takes what exists, the residential area to the north, it tries to match those development standards as we go south, and that allows us to transition from residential to the office innovation area, to the multifamily area, to the mixed use, and potentially the Franklin College area, which we think is just common sense and frankly good land use planning. So the other thing we did on this go around is we sat down and took a little bit more time with staff. Thank you, Joanna and staff, for meeting with us and the time and attention they put to this. When we went through this the first time, what started out as a concept plan kind of became a detailed plan. The concept plan suddenly was 35 pages long, and that was never really the intent of this process. This process was which is what Joanna just outlined, is let's take a look at the concept here, make sure the concept is good, and if that's good, then it's up to us to come back within a year to get detailed PUD approval, which means more public hearings in front of the Plan Commission and a recommendation, and then another hearing in front of the council. So any decision tonight, or a continuance, an ultimate decision, even if it's an approval, is just the first step. So with that in mind, a couple of other additional details on the individual sections. First of all, on the detached residential that is up against the subdivision to the north. The one thing we did do, despite what I just said, is we kept in a lot of the development standards for that area. And the reason we did that is because on the first go-around, that was the area of most interest. That was the area that the surrounding neighbors, especially to the north, were most concerned about. And that's where a lot of design changes had occurred to get to a point where this plan commission was willing to approve that preliminary plan. And so I just want to point out a couple of things there. First of all, any lot located within 100 feet of that northern boundary has a specific set of standards, so that's going to be everything that backs up to it there. You have a minimum lot size of 12,500 square feet, which is really right between an RS1 and an RS2 under the zoning ordinance. Minimum lot width of the lesser of 85 feet or the width of the lot that it backs up to. We want to make these very, very similar. Maximum lot coverage in other development areas we would anticipate would be very similar to the RS1, RS2 classifications. Most of those that weren't part of the original approval, of course, will be part of the detailed PUD should it move forward. We kept in the same buffer yards, so there is as a kind of a starting point, if you will, there's automatically a 25-foot buffer around the entire perimeter of the PUD, period. Now that buffer then gets adjusted, and along the gold area here, it gets adjusted because these are all backyards. The setback will be 50 feet. So, you know, most of your lots that are 85 feet wide, 50 feet, you're going to have a backyard that's between 4,000 and 4,500 square feet in size. 25 feet of that will have to be landscaped with a type 2 buffer. We kept in the minimum living area for a dwelling unit, which is 1,600 square feet for a ranch and 1,800 square feet for two-story dwellings. The 1,800 square feet matches the RS1 standards in the zoning ordinance. So we really felt like we needed to keep those in. That was what was fair for all involved. With respect to the other areas, those are oriented pretty much the same. Multifamily is self-explanatory. We look for apartments there. And we would think that most of the development standards would comply with, when we get to the detailed level, would comply with what is applicable for multifamily that would otherwise be permitted in other districts in the ordinance. The reason for relocating the Franklin College area was just the uncertainty of the need and to provide flexibility. Now that we're going at this basically on our own, on our being the college and its development partner, Patch, is we're not 100% sure which area is going to go first. It needs to be driven a bit more this time because we don't have those dollars by market demand. And so if someone wants to be in the innovation area on the far west, we'll do that. If they want to be in the south along Park, we'll do that. If they want to do it up on Barger Lane, we'll do that. If we connect with a partner, obviously we don't build single-family homes, and we do not have anyone identified. I'm sure that will be a question, but we don't. We haven't even really had much in the way of conversations because we're just not far enough along for those. But at some point in time, we will. And if those are the ones that suggest from a market perspective that those should go first, then those will go first. We have to kind of let the market dictate how this is going to be developed, and that will dictate how which portion we go from, where we start in terms of the internal roads. But at the end of the day, if this is all approved, it would have to be in accordance with what actually was approved. A couple other notes. The area at the far south east corner, right along Umbarger, which is wooded, the intent is that that still would remain wooded, which is why it's shown in green. And again, the park open space and detention area that's located off of Park or down on the south side is pretty much the same as well. So we think this is a good plan. We think it makes sense. We'd like to be given the thumbs up from the Plan Commission, which will allow us to come back to you with a detailed plan where there'll be lots more discussion. So with that, I thank you for your attention and certainly would be happy to answer any questions that the commission might have.
Thank you, Mr. Oaks. And you have 2 minutes on that and another 5 if you need to, sir.
Would anyone like to speak for or against this project reference? Please come forward and state your name and be identified. I think there's 2 of you want to come together on this, right?
Good evening, Planning Commission members. My name is Glenn Carlstrand, a Franklin resident, and I speak today as a representative of many of our Franklin homeowners. I think we've got quite a representation and interest in this project. We do support Franklin College. We do support Franklin College and their effort to make Franklin a better community, and we want to be part of this PUD development plan. We are here to respond to the plan to develop the 249 acres, 250 acres of farmland. We are very interested in this plan. We would like to voice our concerns and hear your answers. Hopefully, together, we can solve these issues and improve on the plan and in the best interests of the future of Franklin. We want commitments that this project is not going to greatly adversely impact our neighborhood. We have a concern regarding the type and the quality of the homes to be built in the PUD. Who will be the developer and which builders have you talked to? It is zoned RS1 for custom detached dwellings for residential, and maybe the RT1 is, you've said. In the plan, it's stated that the homes in the PUD on the northern perimeter will match the existing homes in DeCourcy Lane, DeCourcy Court, and Williamsburg Lane. With the plan stating that the minimum lot size of 12,000 square feet and 1,800 square foot for the dwelling minimum living area, this is not a match. Our existing lot sizes are 15,000 to 20,000 square foot, with as much as 2,600 to 3,000 square foot in living area. Ours are much bigger. Also, the second section, 3A, says lot size of 10,000 square feet with dwelling minimum living area of 1,200 square feet. Is the college bringing the best homes to be built in Franklin? Again, who are the builders? Who are the developers and builders you're talking to? There are plenty of entry-level homes in this area. We need housing that will match the existing neighborhood homes. This is RS1 zone, and the Franklin College land is the last area of zone RS1 for this kind of home. These are the people who moved to Franklin to make Franklin their home. They raise a family and they stay. They're the ones who are the leaders. Contribute, donate, and volunteer their time in the community. They will still be here in 1, 2, or 3 decades. With our homes, with other homes, we're seeing more of a turnover of people in and out. We want to establish a strong community for the future. Are you going to build the tech center first? Is it going to be built next to the college? If the tech center is built first, then there will be new employees, students, researchers as candidates for the new housing development to start up later. Is this the plan, and can we know what the order of implementing building development will be? Or it was said, we don't know. Are these buildings going to be restricted to owner-occupied only? Or are you planning to let corporations buy lots and build houses to rent out? What kind of businesses are you planning to put in the PUD? It was said you are talking to various companies. Who are they? What other developments, according to the standards, is the college proposing for the tech park? Would the college agree to limit the businesses to only high-tech, computer programming, and/or scientific medical research businesses? If not, why not? Isn't this the vision the college is trying to sell to the city? We have a fire department right off 44 on Burger Lane near Milford. Is the second fire department within a mile really necessary? What is going into the Innovation Center? And are there going to be restrictions on the multifamily dwellings? The community wants guarantees that someone is monitoring the construction and adherence to the required building standards, hopefully at a higher standard. The people in the community want guarantees and promises that Franklin College is bringing the best they can bring to our community. Franklin is a hot commodity. It's a very popular destination. Why can't we be selective and choose what businesses and housing developers we want? We want to be sure that it is a high-quality builder and that the minimum standards will be raised and that we will not just settle for good enough. What are the standards for the businesses? We want to know.
Okay. I'm Andy Kinsey. I live at 1651 DeCourcy Court. I am also speaking on behalf of the homeowners in our neighborhood. I'm going to echo some of what Glenn has shared, but my presentation can be boiled down in 3 words: trust but verify. That's the essence of my comments. Because we are concerned about the proposed buffer zone between the existing homes and the new development buildings. We heard 50 feet. We would propose 75 feet to allow for more privacy. We are concerned, second concern, about the apartments, the duplexes, the homes, whatever these codes are. We would like to see what actually these are going to look like in our neighborhood. And does the PUD plan, do they plan to use Davis Homes, Arbor Homes? Who's going to decide this and how will it be decided? Our third concern has to do with safety and with traffic through our neighborhood. We already see people running stop signs at Milford and Jefferson on a weekly basis. We know it's crazy getting out on Adams during peak times. We also know there are lots of children and people walking and riding in a seemingly quiet neighborhood. What we want to know is what study has been done on the traffic, if there's going to be a study, and it's our understanding that there was a study presented to the commission on September 25th. If so, where can we see the plan and what does it look like? And who has them? The short of it is that many people here, if not most of the residents, do not want Milford Drive to be opened at the cornfield and used as the main thoroughfare, especially during the construction phase. Lastly, let me also address the issue of drainage. This development will impact drainage. How can we be assured and verified that the requirements and standards are followed? And what plans are there to address the drainage? We already have runoff from Jefferson Estates, Windrose, Morning Point, First National Bank, the Reagan Circle duplexes, and other small businesses. And they all drain into the small retention pond. The cornfield, to our understanding, is elevated higher than our neighborhood. What guarantees do we have that these are going to be addressed? Let me close by saying that these are some of the concerns that have arisen from our meetings as citizens in this community. I think we want to support the project, but we also want to see high standards. We want to see quality. And we hope that the Planning Commission will listen to our concerns and make decisions for the best of the community and not one or two parties. So we look forward to receiving more information in the days ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Dave Shelley's up.
Okay.
Oh, I said it all.
Yeah. And Andy, you and your, you have another 9 minutes. You don't have to take it, but I'll put it on
I've
account
said
for
all I
future
need to
meetings.
say, and I don't think I need to say anymore.
If
Unless there's
anybody
someone else who wants to share. Well, we do have flooding. I can show you my backyard if you want pictures. Yeah, go ahead.
You're-
I think more
you Certainly
voices-
use your time. Now, you're pretty far afield on things that aren't detail plan issues, but if you're here. Use your time as you desire.
I'll just be a minute. But I'm Dave Shelley. I live at 135 DeCourcy Lane. And when we have a lot of rain, there's a lot of, I live on the side that the retention pond's on. And when we have a lot of rain, it floods on the south end on Milford Drive and DeCourcy Lane. And I've seen it as high as going to Carlstrand, Mr. Carlstrand's house. And that's a lot of water. And when I look back on the field that's behind me, it's higher, right, raised. And if they build back there, where's that water that's not gonna be going in the ground? Where's that runoff going? Is it going into our pond, or is it going into another retention pond? And that's what we need to see, is where's that water coming, where's that water gonna go? Because we already have a flooding problem back there. So, thank you. for your
Thank
time.
you.
Good evening. My name's Renee Olivo. I just want to touch, I think it's already been touched on, Milford, the traffic, the thoroughfare they're being talked about being Milford and whatever going south there. But what I want to say is that when we, as homeowners, try to get out to the north and we try to turn left or right, it's very, very hard to get out. And a while back, I was run into there on King and Milford. So that was, I think, my neighbor Carl Strand heard the big noise, and thankfully I wasn't hurt. So there is a concern on my part of having a crash in there at the intersection. So I'm not sure what's going to go there, whether it's going to be roundabouts or what's going to be talked about. But I would ask that that everybody would consider not making that the thoroughfare. And also the water problems, and also what I have found out that the drainage ponds supposedly belong to the homeowners. But when we checked over at the government building, it was last deeded to Irwin Union Bank. and that's where the deed stands right now. So I'd like to know who owns the ponds. I know what I've been told, but I'd like to know who owns the ponds. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else want to speak?
Sure. Well, I'll do it on your way to the podium, so you save your time, okay? Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony that you give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. We had all gentlemen, so thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. I guess I'll speak for the women.
There we
and,
go. Thank you very
Some of the younger
much.
people in the community.
I was waiting. Yeah, I'll give her back her minute. I talked, so you
And
can have it back.
I'll speak really quickly.
Okay.
I guess my concern is we moved back into the neighborhood 1714 DeCourcy back in April. Obviously, we're a little bit of a younger couple. It was our first home, and we moved from Franklin because we totally saw Carmel, Noblesville, where we were living, was being overdeveloped. Philip grew up here. We came down here because we knew it was safe. We, got to know all of our neighbors, and we know that they're all very kind people. Not saying that the people that moving in might not be kind, but I think that we knew that everyone around us were, going to be kind of, excuse me, I don't have anything prepared. I think
I can jump in with you too. So
I think that our concern is if there's a lot of people that are coming in, your comment, sir, was that it was going to be at the same development standards. The development standards where I grew up 10 minutes from Gary, Indiana are definitely not the same development standards here. And I think that my concern is that if there's going to be a lot of different types of multifamily coming in, whether it be public housing, Section 8, we moved into a nice neighborhood because that's what we wanted. That's where we wanted to raise our children. There's already people moving from downtown Indianapolis and causing problems, breaking into vehicles. That is our concern. Our safety. We feel okay, leaving our doors unlocked during the day. And we don't want that safety to be feeling like it's taken away from us. And there are plenty of children and, young women that probably stay home. And I think that's our biggest concern. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll jump in too and just say that, we came from Chicagoland area. I'm a director of commercial lending at a bank, and I grew up in Franklin, Indiana. Philip Norris, my dad's an attorney in town. My mom's a physical therapist and is very involved in the community. We're in support of the project. I love Franklin College, grew up going to games, have plenty of friends that graduated from Franklin College. I think that quality control is our biggest concern, especially for the neighborhood highlighted in orange behind us. I think making sure that the standards are met for the homes that are built behind us and that safety and that the quality matches the home that we purchased on DeCourcy Lane is really important to us. So having neighborhood involvement on the project and that the neighborhood has a say in what goes there, the businesses that go in, how the lighting is done, I would say holistically is important to us. The last thing I would want to see is this project to kind of come together in a way that doesn't benefit the community. And Jade and I both have opportunity. We can live anywhere. We choose to live in Franklin. And the last thing I'd want is for the project not to be done well with the neighborhood's involvement, and then we end up deciding to move somewhere else in the future. So we love our community. I love Franklin. I want to grow old here and want to live in our home and raise our kids there. And I think that we support the project. We just want to make sure it's done for not only the college, but well for the community members that are already in homes in that neighborhood.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for ignoring my stuttering.
We done now? Everybody have a chance? Thank you, Andy. Sure. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony to give tonight be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you. I haven't sworn at that many people today.
My name is
Thank you for being here.
Is Mia Merrick, and I have a vested interest in 1664 DeCourcy Court. And one thing that I know about those houses, and I think another thing that's not mentioned but we're all thinking, is that whoever the builder is that puts the homes in right against the neighborhood that we're talking about, none of those homes are the cookie cutter type homes. These are all individually made, custom type homes. None of them are the same. And that's another concern I think that we would have, is that they be more like what the people that are there live in currently.
Thank you. Going, gone. Mr. Oakes, you have your remaining time.
Couple of things. One of the things that we thought about when we sat down and met with staff heading into this was, we're not going to do this again. We're not going to make the concept plan a detailed plan. The zoning ordinance sets out the process. Concept plan, if the concept plan's approved, then you go to a detailed plan. And we really do appreciate the comments we've heard tonight. Some of them are great comments and suggestions, but the truth is, those are comments that are really addressed at the detailed plan level. And then we're not passing the buck here, because we have to provide that, and there will be another public hearing, and they will actually be able to look at those detailed standards and make specific comments on them. So I'm not passing the buck. It's just not the process. So it's difficult for me to stand up here and provide answers when that's the next step. So I would just simply ask the Plan Commission to keep that in mind. Number two, it's a great community, Franklin is. Everybody can see that. People care about it. There's a lot of passion for it. Franklin College has been here since 1834, okay? Which I think is a little bit longer than most of the residents. I joke, but, you know, Franklin College is a college. Its primary objective is to teach young people, to allow them to go out into society and be productive members of society. That's their goal, that's their objective. And if you stop and think about it, developing real estate isn't necessarily part of that. And you might say, well, why are you saying that? Because it would be an easy thing for Franklin College to say, you know what, I'm just going to flip this whole thing, all 250 acres, I'm going to sell it to a developer. Because that's not what we do. I'm done, I'm out. I'll let the developer handle it, I'll take my money and run. But they're not. They're staying in it for a reason. They're going to be a neighbor too. They're vested in this community as well. They want to see this project be successful because they plan on being here another 200 years, okay? And they're going to have to live with what's there too. And so we share a lot of the same goals and the same objectives, and we look forward to that dialogue at the detailed development plan level. So with that, all I can say is from a concept plan, we think this works. It is sensitive in terms of the uses that moves from the north to the south. So it's sensitive to the existing uses. It allows for a mix of uses, which creates, in our opinion, a vibrant community. Part of the really neat thing about Franklin is how integrated the residential area is around the central downtown core. You don't get that vibrancy. The folks up north like Carmel and Noblesville and Fish, they're chasing that. You already have it. And we want to keep it. You know, we want this to be a vibrant, to be a good area. And we think this plan sets the table for that to occur. And so we'd be happy to answer any questions, but we do think as a concept plan, this really does work. And we would look forward, if you should approve it, to coming back to you with what's going to be a much more detailed plan where we can really wade into the weeds and dig into specific details regarding certain aspects of the project. So with that, President, you want to say any? Sure. I think you probably need to be sworn in. One more time.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm your testimony to give tonight to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, thank you. I apologize for being late. It was on my calendar for 7 o'clock, so I would say somebody would be fired tomorrow, but then I would be helpless, so I think I put it on my calendar myself. I'm Kerry Prather, I'm the president of Franklin College, and just a couple things to add to what Tim has said. I've been a Franklin resident for 43 years, which makes me a newcomer by Franklin standards. Very much have enjoyed this. I scanned the crowd real quickly to make sure my son wasn't here because he's a resident of DeCourcy Lane. So happy to see that he at least didn't come with any concerns of his own. But he's here for the same reason that I think these young folks mentioned. He's an attorney in downtown Indianapolis, could have lived any place and chose to come back to Franklin for all of the reasons that all of the neighbors have said. And I think what Tim said and what I would like to emphasize here is we've been, as an institution, really strategic about what to do with this land because we recognize what it means to the future of Franklin, well beyond the future of Franklin College. The industries that are being pursued are ones that lend themselves to collaboration with what we're doing academically. Those would be exclusively high-tech industries where our chemistry majors and biology majors and math majors and computer science majors are able to work at the elbows of those industry partners, providing us with an experience that those students really couldn't get at any other small college in Indiana. So I think that speaks to the nature of what we're hoping to attract to this innovation park, and the initial commitments that we have are exclusively life sciences and other high-tech businesses aside from biology and chemistry. And then finally, I think to the neighbors, we want exactly the same thing as you want. So we want this to be quality. I can tell you myself, I'm not in the development business. This has been an education that I would like to get off my hands, honestly. I've learned just enough to be dangerous, but in the process, we've talked to every major developer in the greater Indianapolis area, and we've decided that we want to partner with Patch because we think they share the same vision for what all of us want for the city of Franklin. And I can say since I became president in 2020, Mayor Barnett and I have talked about this need to attract high-tech businesses for the jobs that it will create and the amenities that all of that will bring to the city, in addition to obviously the tax revenue. So all of this has been a slow, thoughtful, strategic process. This will be the same. And as Tim said, all of this, I think, can be ironed out at the detailed stage of the process when we can answer some of those individual questions. But my message to you is we really are all seeking the same thing for the city of Franklin. And Tim worded it well. Hopefully, God willing, the college is going to be here for another couple hundred years, and we want to make sure that we're in the city that you all want it to be and we want it to be as well.
Thank you, sir. Andy, in keeping my promise, do you need 2.5 more minutes? Thank you, sir. Let's close the public hearing. Mr. Chairman, if you'd close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Joanna, would you like to summarize some things for us relative to this project before we get into discussion?
Yeah. So I would like to just note that part of the discussion this evening with the concerns and questions that the public has brought forward is exactly why we have
This process.
this set up the way we do. It's why we have the concept plan, because all of this gets open in the, out in the air. The developer hears it, the owner of the property hears it, the homeowners hear it. So it's a dialogue that's back and forth. So not every community goes through the PUD process the way that the city of Franklin does. And this is exactly why we do it this way, because then we know that everyone's concerns and voices heard. And now the developer and the owner can go back in the office, take what they've heard this evening, take what they know of the city of Franklin, and they can address those, incorporate those as it sees fit with the detailed plan. So that way, some of these questions will be answered at the next stage. So I do want to say thank you for everyone that has come out, because it is helpful to the process. With that being said, was curious if the board had any questions?
If I might add too, because if people, all the questions that were asked are questions you would ask, right? If you were sitting in their shoes. And none of the answers can they give, because you, until you get to the, that's why they call it the detailed plan, you can't answer those questions. And frankly, sometimes you can never answer the questions. If it's zoned R1 and some builder comes along, we don't have any control to tell what builder to do it. So, but I would tell you that if it goes to the next step, just because it goes to the next step doesn't mean you're locked into approving that step. And so the idea behind creating our ordinance the way that it was is to have this kind of a hearing and then say, okay, you've heard it, now bring us a detailed plan and see what things are answered or not answered. But I want to make it very clear to both the petitioner and to the remonstrators that approval at one step does not mean approval at the second step. Oh, and by the way, there's another board that are the elected officials, of which you, Irene, are one, who can override all of it. But they don't get involved until it's more, there's more for them to look at. So I just think it's important to know that just because you continue the step doesn't mean it gets approved. It's just one, it's just go find some more information for us, so.
I have a question or maybe a statement. Is there any relevant changes from the concept plan as far as industrial from what we passed previously last year to now in size, as far as size and acreage?
We haven't gotten into that part because that is the detailed plan. The major differences between the last plan and this plan is that where the office innovation, I don't know if you can see, in the west area, that previously was identified as the Franklin College. And this portion then was the tech and industrial. So this is the previous plan. So these two areas were flip-flopped. All the discussions that were had regarding the detached residential area adjacent to the existing in this plan is the same as it was in the previous concept plan.
That's what I thought I understood. I thought I heard from Tim there was a change, but I wasn't clear on what it was.
Yeah, that's the major change, which isn't really major because Franklin College and the office innovation are very similar, but they just flip-flopped the location.
Anyone have any questions of the petitioner or staff?
Joanna, internally, if the planning commission takes action and says, okay, go forward, take this concept and go forward, what would be the time frame that you would expect to have it back again so that people could get some ideas that you would expect?
That's a little difficult to gauge.
That's why I ask it.
Yeah, Tim would be a better person to answer that question, not knowing where they are internally in their designs.
Well, I'll answer that two ways. First way is it has to be within a year. That's the time period we have. If it is approved, then we will turn our design team loose in terms of all the details. Now, there are quite a few details. There will be, for example, architectural standards that we have to draft for the different portions, including the single family that everyone's going to want to pay a lot of attention to. There will be, those can include, for example, they're called usually anti-monotony provisions to make sure that homes are not the same all the way down the street, which is kind of like yucky. And so
Is that a
that will.
legal, is that a legal term, Tim?
That is a legal
Yucky?
term. That is a legal term.
I'm familiar with that one.
My wife's told me that for years. It's going to take a little time. I think 2 months is too quick. 5 months is too long. So probably somewhere in there. And then once you start getting into, Thanksgiving and Christmas time, that slows things down. If I had to guess, I'd tell you, first quarter of '26.
And when we say it has to be within a year, they have to come back with a detailed plan. It doesn't have to be approved within that year.
Yeah.
It just
And
can't
typically,
sit around.
between the concept plan and the detailed plan, the developer will draft what their first go at it. And then they do provide it to staff. Staff reviews it. And a lot of times, we have multiple meetings back and forth, knowing what not only the City of Franklin regulations, our comprehensive plan, but also having heard concerns and ideas from the public, that we then have that dialogue back and forth to make sure that what they are providing with the detailed plan is consistent with where the City of Franklin should develop and how we should grow. So it's not they submit something and it's just a first go before Plan Commission. There's a lot of work in between this stage and coming back before Plan Commission.
Obviously, my opinion doesn't matter, but I wanted to get that info out there for those of you who might be asking that question. For my clients.
I have a question for Tim, and I heard you talk about it, and I totally understand, respect it, is a lot of how you perceive of this project is going to be bearing on the market. You do have a developer, potential developer involved in the industrial aspect, the innovation park. And the timeline question just came up. Would it be relevant to say that you'd be pursuing interest of the residential parallel, so you're going to have to market that home development to a developer? Are you going to try to get some of those on board now when you present this proposal? Or
what ends up happening, and I work with a lot of the developers and builders in the single-family environment. What ends up happening is if we try to identify somebody, they're going to want to come in and control the development standards for that north area, okay? And quite frankly, a lot of property owners that sell large tracts of land for single-family development, they understand that, and they intentionally put the property under contract. They don't close, and then they let the builder or the developer take the lead so that they can make the standards fit what they want to do. I don't think that's what we want to do here. I think we want to get the standards set that everybody wants, and then you go to the builders and say, here are the standards you have to live by. So I wouldn't anticipate that, but it's for that reason.
So you develop the standards, not develop the developer.
Yes.
Okay.
that answers my question. Anyone else have any questions for staff or petitioner?
I just want to address two comments made in regards to the traffic concerns and also drainage. Obviously, it will be more during the detailed plan as well, but a traffic study is going to be required for this entire development before anything's decided on with the roadways or anything. I don't think one hasn't been submitted with the concept plan previously, so that will be expected of them throughout the detail stage.
After the detailed and primary,
Yeah.
after the detailed stage and before the primary plat.
Yeah, and then in terms of drainage, each site will be reviewed singular. Like I'll review all the drainage plans. Our rules are more stringent nowadays than they were back in the 70s, 80s when Jefferson Meadows, I think that's when. 90s. So drainage is more stringent, so any release rates from the new sites will have to be less than what they're, so basically, post-develop has to be better than pre-develop. And that'll be for every single development on this PUD. And also, with the legal drain that splits the entire property, you're going to have the county involved
and they have even more stringent release rates than the city does. So all that will be addressed during the detail and site plan reviews.
So to just give an overall of the entire process from beginning to end, you have the concept plan that comes to Plan Commission with official action. You have the detailed plan that comes to Plan Commission with a recommendation. It goes to City Council for introduction. It then goes to City Council for public hearing. That is the rezoning of the property, and that's it. They then have to come back and submit for primary plat review. That's where the actual lot layout, utility alignment, road construction, sidewalks get reviewed. That goes to Plan Commission. There's official action from Plan Commission. Following that, there is either one of two things. If it's residential, it's a secondary plat and construction plans that get even further into the details of the development, the slope of the pipes, the outlet, the road construction, the standards for the roads, the standards for the sidewalks, the location of the trees. If it's a site development plan, which would be for one of the industries, that goes through the site development plan process, which can run concurrent with the secondary plat. And on that site development plan review, that goes to technical review committee. It only gets forwarded to Plan Commission if there's a waiver of subdivision requirements. And that is only regarding drainage, street trees, or sidewalks. Typically, there are no waivers from street trees and sidewalks. So therefore, the only reason a site development plan generally makes it to Plan Commission is because there's a waiver from drainage, which we haven't seen for very many years. That review of the site development plan gets into where the parking is, the landscaping within the lot, the ADA accessibility, location of the structure, the amount of landscaping. So there is a very long process to get from where we are today to actually getting a shovel in the ground.
Thank you for the second. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? Any dialogue in reference to this project? I wanted to ask one more question. I think you summarized this last meeting, but I want to clarify. The ownership of the Innovation Park, will it be maintained and owned by the college? Will that be private outside of the college?
I think it probably could be either, which really means that has yet to be determined. And in part, that sometimes depends upon the end user, and can get rather complicated, but let's say there's a great, fantastic high-tech company that wants to come into town and set up shop that everybody loves. And because of their financing structure, they say, look, we can't rent this, we need to own it. I suspect we would sell it to them. That same company might come in and say, we're a startup, but our trajectory is up, it looks fantastic. We can't really afford to buy the ground right now. What we want to do is have you build it, lease it to us. Maybe they get an option to buy in the lease, and we go that route. But either way, you end up with a really good company that becomes a good corporate citizen of Franklin. So it could be either. It just will depend on the circumstances that apply at that time.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve or deny based on what you've heard? Or is there any more discussion before we get to that point?
As to concept plan only. The motion is as to concept plan only.
I'll make a motion to approve the case PC 25-27 for the PUD concept plan.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Nally, second by Kempsky, I think.
Let's do a roll call vote, please. Can we
Matt
do,
McElroy,
Excuse me?
she's going to do the roll call vote so that we have it on the record. We don't have-
Aye.
McElroy,
Aye.
Michelle Stringer,
Aye.
Norm Gabehart,
Aye.
Mike Spongberg,
Aye.
Irene Nally,
Aye.
John Kempsky,
Aye.
Bill Carson.
Aye.
So sometime after the, in all likelihood, after the first of the year, these folks should expect to get notice of detailed plans.
Correct.
And Joanna, if these folks get notice of a detailed plan meeting, like they did now, the way that our plan commission things work, are the documents online once it gets filed so that they could see it ahead of time?
Yes.
Okay.
On the agenda itself, I will just go back. The agenda is on our website like this. If you select any of the documents, if it's a PDF, which is the one that's getting ready to come up eventually, when it gets done thinking, you'll be able to read it, download it. For the plans themselves, it will provide you a link to our online portal, which is always available. If you know the case number of any project, you can go to the online portal, you can hit the search button up here and go to the record number, put it in. On this page, when you go to, the first one is details, outlines all of the submittal information. And then under files is where all of the attachments, the PUD concept plan, the narrative, there's even the affidavit of consent. There's a number of things. So you can look at all of those public records.
And so essentially, the city's file is online for access to the public?
Yep.
Thank you.
And on this agenda, there is a link to the previously approved plan, if anybody wanted to look at the comparison between both the 24 plan and the 25.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commission, for your time and attention, and we look forward to next time.
Okay.
Other business.
Other business, we do have the proposed 2026 calendar of meeting dates. This is similar to every year to date. There are some that have asterisks on them, and the only reason that they have asterisks is because the date has been moved to accommodate a holiday. In December, we do move everything up, so that way we are done with official business prior to Christmas. And then we also make sure that our technical review committee is not scheduled for Thanksgiving Day. So it's ready for the board's consideration and action.
If you approve these meeting dates, then Joanna or staff, we then give them to the Daily Journal so they publish them. So that's part of our open door requirement for public meetings. So that's why we ask you to approve the dates, so we can get them.
I make a motion to approve the 2026 PC calendar meeting dates.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Passes.
Thank you.
We have a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion.
Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you for everyone's courtesy tonight. It was nice. Thank you. It's kind of unusual to have that many people. I like it when they organize. You know?